Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, I'd like to greet all of you on behalf of the Samut-Szabán Elementary School from Nagyszénás, and everything that was said is related to everything. So just as I was listening to Katalin, I was thinking what a wonderful thing it is that I can or we can talk about such things in Hungary today. And I'm very grateful to the National Crime Prevention Council for this opportunity to speak about the new things that are happening in Hungarian education right here in front of so many people. And we can share our pride. And my other eye is weeping. The why is in the Minister of Education that is doing this. Why do I have to say all these things in a different platform? And in the meantime, I'm very happy that right here in the audience I can see Dr. Emeser Nagy, who is a great innovator. And we have also worked with great professional cooperation. And I'd like to greet her with due respect. And also Judit Závogyán from Szeged, who is the head of the education division. And I will tell you that she is from Nagyszénás, from the school. She used to go to school that I'm going to speak about. So you can think that it is a wonderful school because the school produced such wonderful people. When we started to tread on this road, that was back in 2013, when I went to visit Katalin Hankowski. I was working as an education expert in the education institution with methodology innovation. And my job was to create quality education in Hungary. In 3 counties, I was a supervisor in Bács, Csongrád, and I don't know what. I went to schools and nursery schools and dormitory, and I was learning from people who, as teachers, were doing this with children. It was a very interesting task, but there was just one thing, that I was in the Education Institute and collecting these good practices. I saw that we participate in lots of different trainings, like activity-focused and cooperative technologies and so on. But for some reason, they just don't adhere to each other. Why is it falling apart? Why don't we have the results that we wanted to have? And that's when Katalin Hankowski told me when I went to this training. She asked me, Judit, you, who is an expert in education and works in the education office or institute, what would be the biggest benefit to you when you went home? And I was thinking that, really, you want to tell me what is the biggest benefit when I came here to learn? So how will you teach me? So I had a totally different idea about education to that point before I became aware of this. And then when the education centers, the pedagogical education centers were set up, even before that, I used to work as a principal of a school in Szarvas, in an elementary school and in a nursery school. So I thought I would try it, and I would go to a school where this method could be tested, because maybe I don't believe other people that it works or that it may work. So this was a novelty to me. And I have 2 quotations here, but it's not a coincidence. This is so typical. One of them comes from Therese Brunswick, who said, what would you say of the people who are standing at the foot of the hill, very strong, and look at the top of the hill, and then they slowly wander because they hesitate before every stone or every big step? Now, this hesitation was very typical of us, too, whether we should do it or should not do it, how should we do it, at the organization level or the classroom level, can we test it, can we not test it? So when a change is taking place, not only in public education, but at any level, then we hesitate a lot. Not 100 years passed, and Martin Luther King Jr. answered this question, and he said, take the first step with faith. You don't have to see the entire staircase. It's only the first step. Oh, really? So I don't need to see the top of the hill. What I do have to see is what the next step is. Really? Good. Wonderful. Because up to now, I never saw that. Unfortunately, I didn't see it. What I saw is that we needed to do something. I always try to look up at the top of the hill. Let's take a look at it. Let's hurry up. Let's be more efficient. Let's be more successful. But we always did something, and this is typical of Hungarian public education. And allow me to praise the teachers who always do a lot for this. They work on methodology, they use tools, they learn new skills, the use of computers and electronic devices. So praise be to them. So what am I to talk about today? First of all, that back then when I decided that the solution-focused mentality, how it could be introduced in public education, and in my head, I had this entire staircase built from steps to step, how this whole thing looked like and what the situation was in the schools before they had no solution-focused activities, and how we prepared for introduction. And now, after 7 years, I can say that we already have some achievements. Maybe these achievements for other people are not really that interesting, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that for the team, for the group of children or pupils and the teachers, and for that village or settlement, this is a big value and a huge step ahead. Of course, there are results which can be measured by numbers, but at a time when we talk about a very good school, values with numbers are very difficult to talk about. You will see this later on. So where is this Nagyszénás? It's in Békés County, in the southeastern part of country. It is called the Vihar Sarok, that is the storm corner, because most of the people live here out of agriculture, and practically it's the agrarian sector that gives livelihood here. The settlement itself belongs to the Békés County Education Center. This is as a village of under 5,000 people in Hungarian population. 1/3 of the settlements are like this, more or less. We practically cannot, or we do not select people. Those who are born in Nagyszénás, they usually go to this elementary school. Certainly, there are some differences when the parents think that they take the children to Orosháza, which is not too far away. But since the parents saw that this school worked very well, it's not really big problem that they take the children away. They leave them there because they see that in that local environment, with the supervision of the parents, with the possibility of the parents to see things, it's much safer and much more successful. I mean, the education. There are 2 buildings. There is one for the smaller classes from 1 to 4, and another one for the higher classes from 5 to 8. It could be an advantage and disadvantage both. It's a rural school with a huge backyard, with wonderful community spaces that we can use very well. So let's take a look at before the introduction of solution-focused mentality, what happened in the school. In 2005, I decided that I would apply for this position. And as a leader, I filed my own professional program, including already this solution-focused education. The teachers, most of the teachers had no idea what it was all about. But since in Hungary, this means a lot that there was one person who already has some sort of a professional background. That is, I had already known this school very well as an educational consultant expert. I knew the teachers, and they believed that this would be good. So my area of expertise was methodology and innovation. So they knew, too, that I could give them a lot of methodology and a lot of skills that if I can teach them, it could be a tremendous advantage to them or benefit. It was a big help that we also won EU grants because all the benches, school benches, which were fixed, were replaced by movable chairs, and also the teachers got lots of training. And the experiences from Coolidge meant a lot to us. I don't know if you've seen the Microbe cartoon, when you just say, and then you switch your mind. So sometimes I felt that in a railway station, when trains are totally changed, that it works totally different than what I had thought before. So the difference did not lie in the fact that we did something else, but that we did it in a different way. You can see that we did believe very much. I'm in the sustainer of the school who read my application, understood it, and had questions, and the heads. The head of the institution and my deputy believed in this, but most of the teachers had their reservations. The question was, what does she want to do here? Well, what does she want? She wants something different, something better, something more useful, something more efficient. The question was what it was that we already had. That's the starting point, whatever we already have. Now, among the teachers, what they had that professionally they were very well trained, but practically it was this anxious kind of staff, teaching staff. They were very much rule-following people who wanted to comply with the wishes of the leader, of the director. The important was to have all the administration updated every day. This was very important. Then they focused on controlling each other. Who was late? Who was not late? Did they go to class? Did they keep the records and everything? So when we talked about the students, well, it was a very disciplined kind of community, yet they were telling on other people who were also a bit anxious, and very often what they had in their focus is what other people were doing. They didn't change their shoes, now the teacher didn't close the door, and so on. And I was thinking, why does somebody else have to tell me about this to the head, to the leader? So we started on this road, which was unknown so far. I myself knew where I was heading. I knew also that these steps that Martin Luther King was kind of outlining, how I would take them one by one. And there was one big thing that I knew very well, slowly, minusculously, paying attention to everything, concentrating on the teachers for them to feel good, so that the students would feel good, and concentrating on not to overwork ourselves, not to overload us with works. However, it was a very important element to see how this innovation will, and how this change in mentality turn into an organizational shift, which will happen in the institution at the same time. I didn't leave time for local venues to get established or evolved, kind of gossiping groups. So whatever I wanted to put in the focus whatever was important, what I learned for Kati. For example, if something is not wrong, you don't need to repair it. When something doesn't work, then you have to try something else. If it works, then do more of it. Take small steps to have big changes. And solutions not only is have a relationship with the problem. That means that we together shaped the future we craved for, what we wanted to see this school to be. Not today, not now, but tomorrow and day after tomorrow and after that, and in the future. Well, I had the question in front of me, what do we need to do? Unfortunately, or not unfortunately, I don't know, but at the time it turned out, just as other people were telling us, that there is no recipe for this. It's not written down, that first point, second point, third point, fourth point, but it needs to be specified to your own organization, to those teachers, to those children, and to those parents. How? Well then, I started working. It wasn't easy. I had 35 teachers with personal interviews with them, what their wished for future would be in this school? What do they want to achieve? Where is their place? And what do they see that in 5 years' time, what would happen here? Well then, together, once this was done, we came up with some new elements, how we would introduce this, how we would kind of introduce this, implement this among the children. First, we started to have school assemblies. We spent time on this every month regularly to have a single hour dedicated. On that particular day, we had shorter classes, but in the first hour every month, we made the children sit down and we asked them, put on a big screen, then in September, that we are beginning of September now, what do you want to achieve by the end of September? The next school assembly, we discussed, did you achieve what you wanted, or what would you like to achieve in November? So the question was, what did you need to do in order to be able to achieve your future, the future you crave for? What would be the benefit to you if you have better marks in this subject or that subject? And it's not that they had to define it for themselves, but they told this to their peers. This was a really big breakthrough because even the boys or girls who couldn't care less about studying, oh, what the hell, what do I need to tell them? So what? In biology, I failed, so what? Well, this so what changed. That really, could it be different? Would it be really better? So the only motivation I could give the children that if their own skills develop, their own achievements develop, then the school average will also improve. We were thinking, but before that they used to say, oh, I couldn't care less about the school average. But perhaps at home the mother would praise them, or there would be some benefit that they can make use of. At these school assemblies, I was distributing treasures, not marks, but treasures. Every treasure was a kind of small pebble, but you couldn't call it a pebble. It was a treasure. You got it from the director of the school. And it's not only for school achievement, because the children who were successful came in the front and they were applauded. And they received the treasures from us, and we distributed the treasures so that if somebody put the litter or threw the litter outside of the bin, then they put it back. Or if somebody noticed that the teacher was carrying heavy things and was helping, or if they noticed that a guest was coming and the guest was escorted to the director's office. So, and even children who had not been very successful in their scholastic achievements, they had some positive achievements here. They felt they were important in this community. To take the benches to the school assembly, that is a wonderful task. And this was a very important element in this step. Now, we managed to make progress with the teachers too, because communication was the most difficult part. We had monthly meetings with the middle-level leaders, focusing only on the future they craved for. And the natural sciences working group and the lower class working group, they came up with everything. They were the only ones who came up with all the different ideas. I never told them any ideas. I was only supporting them and encouraging them. This would be wonderful. This would be great. And it worked. It worked in such a way that it gave us much, much better results than I had thought, because together with my deputy, we met every week, once a week, and we discussed the results of the previous week, and we were discussing the importance of the following week. This was a very important element. Unfortunately, at this settlement, there are a lot of students who are socially loaded, where there was a lot of need for help because of the home background, because of the verbal bullying in school against each other. And together with the youth protection officer, we decided to open a room which is called I Listen to You. You don't need to close it every morning at 7:30 to 8:30. You can go there and you can tell me whatever is the problem. So the day will start differently. They can talk about the problem and they can leave their problem there. So when they enter the school, they can focus on whatever is important in the school. I'd seen this element before in the former presentation, but true enough, with us too, we shared with the parents the problematic students together. And if there is a new student and there are problems such as school aggression, we always sat down with the parents, with the class teacher, with the deputy director, and I myself. And we initiated a conversation. We learned from coaching that what could be the future we crave for. That could, and how can we solve this? So these parents were involved, and they were grateful that these problems were solved in such a way that everybody was satisfied. And evidently, these conversations cannot take place just a single time. You have to follow them up. Just think about it, what a load it is, a workload for the head teacher and the class teacher, and to me too. But if we want to have achievements, then I say it is my profession to be a teacher, then I have to do this. And there is nothing else. I know this, and I do this. I hope I do it right. We also applied what we have heard before. We had a scale of 1 to 10, because the 1 to 5 in education, it's one of the elements of the evaluation of the children, but it starts with that every single classroom, every teacher asks the children or the child when they go into the class, biology, chemistry, history, whatever, to you, what is the biggest benefit if after 45 minutes you go out of here? What is it that you will be more of? And all the teachers do this. And it was also very important that to allocate time for this evaluation. Out of the 45 minutes, 5 minutes was evaluation from a scale of 1 to 10. Everybody could have their voice. And those who had no 10, then we asked them, what could be done more so that it would be even better? And then they were thinking about this even more. Up till now, it was the teacher who was stupid because couldn't explain it to us, and the problem was shifted to them. It's not a good teacher. But then we noticed all of a sudden that the individual responsibility was in the focus, that I should have done something. I should have done my homework. I should have been more active. And then after a certain while, it became so natural that today we can't even imagine a meeting or a class without not starting it like this. What would be the biggest benefit? Regarding updated information, that's very, very important. Everybody has to know about everything. That was the principle. The teacher, the pupil, the parents, we prepared a monthly event calendar and everything included in there. So we put this on our wall and also on the homepage. And every year we issued a yearbook where we reported our successes and our achievements. And how this whole thing adhered? Well, this way, with cooperative planning and organization, children were working in groups, in cooperation. They could bake muffin together. We gave them a lot of experience, whether it was history, that they do some excavations and they can put the different things together, the stones and the pebbles, and then they make cave drawings. And this way they learn how they can recall things from their memories. So the Nagyszénás recipe is the following. Well, have 300 pupils in the school, 35 teachers, one committed leader, one committed deputy, have a workshop every 2 months so that the method could be learned, which is always be done by an outsider. The teachers should go read the book, Solution-Focused Coaching with Children and Young People, and widen your your arsenal of tools. So this is success. So in a non-specialized school where the average of the school was 4, which is quite high anyway, out of 5. And we went up to 435. So this means that every pupil contributed. And we became a base school from the Education Institute. We have 3 good practices. One of them is the solution-focused methodology and the method for school bullying and so on. So we always work together. Some people are always thinking and always coming up with new things. We have a very developed self-evaluation system, not only in with teachers but also with children. Students' aggression was reduced, which we had quite a lot, and everybody is an expert of their own success. In the focus, it's always the future that we wish for. That's what we have. And what are our frameworks, institution, medium-level leaders, and so on. So the Parents Association is light green because they are just beginning to understand it, and our partners are also just beginning to understand. This is my last slide, in which I'd like to tell you that I'm convinced that if the sustainer listens to the professionals, accepts the recommendation and supports the innovation, then it will be successful and efficient. If the school leaders and the teachers are willing to and are capable of implementing it, then we will have the results. And if the parents can be convinced that cooperation is important, and not even speaking about what Monica Günther can do from outside, that we always try to innovate and renew ourselves, then every child, every parent, every partner can only benefit from it. So this is how I see the school now. I think that I have retired, but the leader or the director who took over, my former deputy, does exactly the same thing, and she will do exactly the same thing. And since I write from Szarvas, I also have a Tesedik quotation. This is very close to me, and I'm very happy that I could be here today. But the quotation is that I hope that even those flowers will bloom, with the seeds of which perhaps I prematurely saw into infertile land, but with good hope I did so. Thank you very much for your time and attention.